If they lose this game tonight, then you can cancel Christmas because you have some much bigger problems than just Caitlin Clark being out.
Well, you better take down the tree and box up the ornaments because the worst-case scenario just became real.
Can we please get a round of applause for Stephanie White? We lost to the Connecticut Sun, folks. The 0-5 Connecticut Sun.
The Fever's loss to the previously winless Sun marked a brutal low in their Caitlin-era struggles. And now, even the most loyal fans are starting to ask the hard question. Is this team actually any good without her?
I had these 2 games as wins. Well, now I look at the schedule and I'm like, well, you can't take any of these games for granted. They could, in theory, lose all of them.
It's not just that they've lost, it's how they've looked while doing it.
You have the Fever, as a result, looking like one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league, without Caitlin Clark.
Now it's painfully clear. This stretch without Caitlin isn't just a test for the Fever. It's a reckoning for the entire WNBA.
The success of the WNBA rides on the success of the Indiana Fever and specifically Caitlin Clark.
The ratings are in, and yeah, they're slipping. The Fever look like they're spiraling. Without Caitlin Clark, they're not just losing games, they're losing the fans' faith. There are already calls for Stephanie White's job and serious questions about whether this injury-riddled roster can even stay afloat. But before you jump ship, hear me out. It's not all doom and gloom. There is light at the end of this very bumpy tunnel. So let's break down exactly why fans are freaking out, what's actually going wrong, and most importantly, why there's still reason to believe. But first, like this video if you're counting the days until Caitlin Clark returns. Drop a comment if you think the Fever are in real trouble, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's dive in.
The Indiana Fever deserve to be the laughingstock of the WNBA because of all the crap they pulled in preseason.
Heading into the preseason, everyone knew the Fever would take a hit without Caitlin Clark. That was a given. But no one expected things to unravel this quickly or this badly. The backlash? Brutal. When the Fever lost to the Connecticut Sun, a team that had been winless, missing key players and widely seen as the worst in the league, fans and analysts snapped X turned into a full-on Schadenfreude-fest. With non-Fever fans piling on, mocking everything from the roster to the coaching staff. And to top it all off, the Connecticut Sun's own social media account joined in, roasting the Fever and adding insult to injury.
The Fever are getting, I'm not even going to say sneak dissed, very openly dissed by a team who lost their entire starting 5, lost their coach to Indiana, lost one of their all-stars to Indiana, don't have a training facility, and were 0-5.
This loss hit especially hard because the Fever didn't just come into the season with hope. They came in talking big. Their Now You Know campaign wasn't just bold. It bordered on prophetic trash talk. They weren't aiming for respect. They were claiming the league. And honestly, with Caitlin Clark joining a reloaded roster stacked with vets and fresh talent, it wasn't crazy to think this team had real championship potential. But now, without Caitlin, they've boarded the struggle bus, and it's making stops nationwide. The hope was they could stay afloat while she recovered, maybe play 500 ball and hang in the mix. But after getting dropped by a winless Sun team, yeah, all bets are off. You're supposed to win 3 out of every 4 against teams like that. Heading into the preseason, everyone knew the Fever would take a hit without Caitlin Clark. That was a given. But no one expected things to unravel this quickly or this badly. The backlash? Brutal. When the Fever lost to the Connecticut Sun, a team that had been winless, missing key players, and widely seen as the worst in the league, fans and analysts, Snap.x turned into a full-on Schadenfreude-fest, with non-Fever fans piling on, mocking everything from the roster to the coaching staff. And, to top it all off, the Connecticut Sun's own social media account joined in, roasting the Fever and adding insult to injury.
You should win 3 out of every 4. You should be a good squad that blows out the Connecticut Sun without Caitlin Clark. So that makes me question, how good is this team?
This isn't just about 1 or 2 bad games. Fans and analysts have been calling out the Fever for the brand of basketball they're playing. even with Caitlin Clark on the court. The frustration is mounting, and a lot of it's aimed at head coach Stephanie White. She came in with a reputation as a basketball mind and delivers well behind a podium, but on the court, she hasn't shown she knows how to unlock this team's full potential.
And how much grace are we going to give to a coach because the coach says we're working things out for the rest of the season, we're trying to figure out our identity? You shouldn't need to figure out your identity. You have Caitlin effing Clark on your team. At least run, put in some effort. Run, don't try to grind a team down and win a game in the 70s. Because when Caitlin Clark comes back, you're not going to be able to do that.
Remember those preseason interviews with Sophie Cunningham? She said she was excited for a fast-paced run-and-gun offense, something dynamic, up-tempo, high-octane. But the reality? It's been anything but that. Instead of pushing the pace, the Fever have looked slow, stagnant, and unsure, like a team still searching for its identity. And without Caitlin Clark orchestrating the offense, they just haven't been fun to watch.
Last night was the commentators were talking about the Connecticut Sun and the Indiana Fever being the two slowest teams in the WNBA. If you told me that that would be something that was said on the broadcast during any Indiana Fever game, I would have thought you were insane. Literally, the two slowest teams, with the Connecticut Sun being the slowest team in the WNBA. And just last night, once again, the Indiana Fever only had 4 points in transition buckets. The game before that, again, without Caitlin Clark, 0 points in transition buckets.
Fever team, with all that preseason hype, would end up being one of the slowest in the entire league. I'll break down why that's a serious issue that goes way beyond the box score in just a moment, because this isn't just a Fever problem. It's something that could ripple across the entire WNBA. It's gotten that bad. The frustration is so high that fans and analysts are already calling for major changes. And get this, some are actually starting to miss Christie sides.
This team plays worse offense than with Christie sides. Their motion offense is give the ball to the wing, 4 players stand around and is like, what are we meant to do? What are we meant to do? What are we meant to do? And then eventually the ball probably gets turned over.
This was supposed to be a new day. This was supposed to be a new dawn, a new head coach, a new era for Indiana Fever basketball. And I would much rather, yes, folks, give me Christie sides back. Goodness gracious, I said it.
I said it. And no matter how you slice it, the fan base is panicking right now. But honestly, this isn't just a Fever problem. The entire league should be concerned. Because when your biggest star is out and your most hyped team falls apart, it doesn't just crush local morale, it shakes the confidence of every new fan who was just starting to give the WNBA a chance.
So right here, Wednesday's Fever Mystics WNBA game averaged 357,000 viewers on NBA TV. That was without Caitlin Clark. But that's still way off. I mean, the previous NBA TV game against the Dream averaged 581,000 with Caitlin Clark.
I've seen the ratings debate spun in a few different ways. On one hand, yes, ratings are definitely down without Caitlin Clark. No denying that. But then you hear people say, hey, some of these games are still among the top draws on NBA TV. That sounds good, until you remember NBA TV isn't exactly prime real estate. Here's the truth that often gets lost in the spin. The WNBA wasn't booming before Caitlin. It was making slow, modest progress, yes, but still losing money, $40 million down just last season. And now, they're not just losing viewers, they're losing the casual fans, the ones who packed the arenas, made broadcasts feel relevant, and got advertisers to pay attention.
Disaster. And a lot of people were like, well, Caitlin Clark's not growing the game if people won't tune in with her. Look, people tuned out when Jordan went to baseball. They tuned out of the NBA when Jordan went to baseball. And then when Jordan retired, they tuned back out again until Kobe came along. This is not hard.
It's the same pattern you see across every major sport. When the biggest star isn't playing, casual fans disappear. And that's exactly what's starting to happen here. Now, sure, not everyone's hitting the panic button. Some are pointing to decent numbers and trying to spin it as a win. But here's how I see it. A lot of people are tuning in right now just to see how the Fever hold up without Caitlin Clark. And so far, it's been brutal.
I'm sorry. There is no way you can have 0 fast break points a team unless you are actively trying to not run.
Stephanie White was that coach. But when she came to the Indiana Fever, all she was saying is, we're going to play with pace, we're going to play fast, we know our strengths, we're going to shoot those threes. And you guys, the problem is that style of basketball is the style of basketball that the new fans fell in love with. And I'm sorry, that style of basketball is the most entertaining style of women's basketball that you can possibly watch. Nobody wants to watch the women's game play slow, be overtly physical.